Week 17 of the fantasy football season, and it's a crucial week this week, no doubt about it. But here's a few defenses, DST units. I would start this week. The first one, the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers defense came out and played in Week 16 in Indianapolis. And this week, another good matchup on paper versus the Rams. That give up the third most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. I know the Rams put up 51 points last week versus Denver, but I think this Charger team, they're going to come out focused once again and go out there and make plays. So the last few weeks here for the D, Week 14 versus Miami, 17 points allowed, 2 sacks. Week 15 versus Tennessee, 14 points allowed, 4 sacks and in tow. And Week 16 in Indianapolis, a great game, 3 points allowed, 7 sacks, and 3 interceptions. So this defense, they're keeping points down over the last few weeks. They're getting sacks to the quarterback, and I think we're going to see more of the same in this one. Baker Mayfield, he hasn't been the guy really doing much of the damage. It's been Cam Akers and Tyler Higbee for the most part making plays. And this one, Battle of Los Angeles, I could see a close game throughout in this one, with obviously the Chargers offense struggling over the last couple weeks as well, where these guys go at it in this one and both have good defensive performances. So this week, I got the Chargers as a start. The next defense, DST unit, starts the San Francisco 49ers. So the Niners, you pencil them in each and every week is a great start. And this week here, another good matchup at the Vegas Raiders that give up the 17th most fantasy points to defenses on the season. This Raider team, their offense has been inconsistent. If you take Devontae Adams out of the equation, it's worked wonders for opposing teams. And that's why I think San Francisco is going to try to deal with the safety over the top and double team in this one. So the last few weeks here for this defense, Week 14 versus Tampa Bay, 7 points allowed, 2 wins, a fumble recovery. Week 15 at Seattle, 13 points allowed, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery. And Week 16 versus the Commanders, 20 points allowed, 2 sacks and a fumble recovery. So right here, they could get to the quarterback. They got a knack for turnovers. And I think in this one, the Raiders are good for a few in this one, especially the way Derek Carr has been inconsistent this season. The next defense, DST units, the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs here, their defense has becoming one of the better defenses over the last few weeks here. And they're also taking advantage of great matchups as well. So the last few weeks here for them, Week 14 at Denver, a big game. 28 points allowed, 6 sacks, 2 wins, a pick 6 in that one. Week 15 at Houston, 24 points allowed, a sack, a fumble recovery. And Week 16 versus Seattle, they've held their own, 10 points allowed, 2 sacks and an intro. So right here, Week 17 going back versus the Broncos, that give up the second most fantasy points. This one's an Arrowhead in this game. They're going to be loud. They're going to get to Russell Wilson. And it's a great rivalry throughout their careers, obviously, is this Denver Bronco team and the Chiefs in terms of in-division rivals. So this week here, with all the stars lined, in my opinion, for this Kansas City team, I definitely have them as a start and a defense that can make noise and at least get to Russell Wilson turning it over a few times in this one. The next defense is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this Jags defense, over the last few weeks here, they're definitely taking note for fantasy owners here. In the last few games for this Jags defense, Week 14 at Tennessee, 22 points allowed, 4 sacks, and 3 fumble recoveries. Week 15 versus Dallas, 34 points allowed, another high point total, 3 sacks, 2 wins, and a pick 6 by Jenkins to end the game. And then Week 16 at the Jets, 3 points allowed, 3 sacks, and a fumble recovery. So right here, great matchup. Week 17 at Houston. Davis Mills, we know don't move the football great, and they give up a lot of fantasy points to defenses, 4th on the season. So right here, if you could get your hands on Jacksonville off the wire here, that would be a big hit for fantasy owners, in my opinion. And like I said, this Jaguar team, they got a knack for the football. They got a knack to getting to the quarterback. And I think in Houston with Davis Mills, who's been poor all season, they could do that. And their start this week in the 5th and final defense, DST unit have as a start to New York Giants. So a 1-week use only start here for me is this Giant team versus the Colts that give up the most fantasy points to defenses on the season. So the last few weeks here for the Giants, Week 14 versus Philly, 48 points allowed, 4 sacks, a block kick. Week 15 in Washington, 12 points allowed, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, a touchdown. One of their best games to date here. And now Week 16 in Minnesota, they got the doors blown off, 27 points allowed, 4 sacks. So right here, Indianapolis is a train wreck. Offensive line can't block anyone. Wide receivers not getting many opportunities. Like it's a mess with Matt Ryan and Nick Foles, whoever's going to start for this Colt team. So right here, a lot of factors against them. This Giant team trying to make a final playoff push, which they're in it as of now here. and they're definitely a defense I would start in a good matchup this week. Obviously, versus Indianapolis, who can't do much over the last few weeks. That's a few defense DST units I look to start for Week 17 of the fantasy football season.